Alright everybody, by the time this video goes live, it will be OBNC beginning day! We'll be starting 4 hours after this video goes live, of course on my Twitch channel. So, with the tournament about to start, I probably need to do the rest of these map overviews so that everyone knows what they're going to be watching and or playing. So, this is going to be a full map overview for all of the maps. The Nomad one I did, no one really liked it, and I can understand that, so I thought I'll just make that video unlisted, and then you can, if you want to watch it, I'll link it in the description below. But I'm still going to go through all the maps, strategies, and what we should expect when we see some big Nomad action on these maps. So without further ado, start with Bedouins, or rather Bedouins. So the feature of this map is, well, it's flat. You have trees that encircle the entire thing, but it's way shallower, I guess you could say, than Arena. Also, you know you're getting close to the edge of the map because you've also got this little dirt terrain thing here. But what dots the rest of the map is a few small forests here and there, but most notably these oases. And they are just teeming with shorefish. There do exist other food sources. In fact, like we see all of them in this particular shot right here. That was convenient. So yeah, you do have boar, deer, sheep. They're all hanging around here. The sheep can also help you scout, of course. But unlike, say, regular Nomad, this map, it's very, very open. There's lots and lots of aggression possible. So I think even more than usual, it would behoove teams to try and pick a singular location in which they can all settle down together and not have anyone astray where they will get wrecked. So, what civilizations are going to excel here? Obviously, the first one that jumps to mind is Indians. Indians, just even though the fisherman bonus was reduced, it's now only 10% faster instead of 15, and you don't get the extra carry capacity. Regardless, it's still an amazing bonus on a map with a ton of shorefish. And then really any civ that favors any sort of aggression. This is where, like, your land civs are going to be shining. This is indeed one of 2 land maps. You know, Franks are going to be doing a lot better. Khmer are going to be doing a lot better. You know, Slavs and Teutons and all those guys, they're going to be a lot better, relatively speaking. This map, compared to many of the other ones, I believe, will feature a lot more feudal age aggression. But here, it's just so open, and players are going to be like putting mills like here, and then here, and then here, and they're going to be all spread out all over the place, that aggression just becomes a lot more viable. You can see more archer play, more scouts play, anything like that. Tower rushing is still obviously going to be a decent option. But yeah, overall, wood lines you have guaranteed on the outside, so that's going to be quite helpful. But yeah, Bedouins, very, very classic Nomad style map. And of course, we will be featuring it in this tournament. Alright, next up is Compass, and this is already a fan favorite, and I think with good reason. This used to be called Takashima, and this is a Krazini map, and this map is really cool. So, you start here on an island. Well, everyone starts in a little island here in the middle of the map, with 2 fishing ships as the AI very majestically sails back and forth. Yeah, 2 fishing ships and a transport ship on a little island with a random relic. So you can't really TC here. It isn't like Decentring, which we will see in a little bit. So you're going to have to sail away into one of 4 directions. Now, as you can see by the minimap, there is a sort of central area which has the islands and otherwise lots of water, and then there is more or less one straight line that bisects each side of the map, creating these 4 quadrants. You know, the 4 compass directions. So, working with that theme, the north has a more steppy, wintry theme. Despite each of the quadrants having very different themes, they practically have all the same resources. So it doesn't really mean like one area is all that much better than another in terms of just resource distribution. They're all pretty much the same. The eastern quadrant features a rather autumnal, deciduous forest-looking thing. Notably, they all have a little bit more wood concentrated towards the edges of the map. But still, lots of random resources scattered hither and or yon. The south features a savanna landscape. Some more palm deserty trees in the south. And to the west will be a jungle with some llamas, all that good foresty stuff. So what does this mean practically? Now, since everyone starts in the middle, you can choose which area you want to go in, like, essentially before the game starts, because it doesn't really matter if you go one way or the other. Oh man, these AI, man, they're so dumb. So you can say, okay, we're going to have one player go to the north, 2 players go to the east, and then 1 player go to the south. And then it kind of becomes, if both teams choose to do that, which seems fairly common, you kind of have like 2 1v1s going on over here, whereas each of the sides have huge booming scenarios, but you still have to cross over. There are no shallows, so you have to transport over. And there's just a ton of variety here. You can put a lot of people all on the same island just to like overwhelm one person completely and then fight for different areas. We can likely see a lot of scenarios where it's, you know, one team has, you know, total control of one island and then is fighting for another, and then the other team has control of the other island. You get the idea. Something else I think that is cool with this map is there's just so much variety in terms of what you can do. The very good land civs, they're going to have their time to shine because, you know, when you're fighting for the land, well, it's all land, right? You don't need to have a good navy to fight over this whole area. But of course, if you do have a good navy, there are tons and tons of fish here in the middle of the map, so it's certainly worth fighting over. And inevitably, if you want to get across to the other islands, you need to have some sort of naval presence, otherwise you're just gonna get wrecked. Also, like the more late-game oriented, boomy sorts of civs, they're gonna be really strong here, as well as if you can coordinate with your team to make sure you have a safer area. So really, I think that pretty much every civilization has a situation where they can shine, and I think that's just one of the cool things about this map, and yeah, this is my favorite map in the tournament. I think we're going to be seeing some really fun games on it. OBNC Cross will be next. So if you're thinking, hey, this map looks familiar, it's because it is pretty much exactly 4 lakes, just with a slightly different theme to it, but you have each corner of the map dominated by a rather large body of water, but still not too big, and it's just, well, it's 4 lakes, right? Tons and tons of marlin in them too, so there's lots and lots of short... There are tons of marlin in these lakes as well, so there are a lot of great fishing opportunities. And the rest of the map is just a fairly normal looking land map, but you do have that sort of guarantee and consistency that you know where the water is going to be on the map. It's going to be in the, well, 4 corners. And yeah, normally this isn't a nomad map, but, well, we made it a nomad map, and it's one that I think is really good for nomad because if you want to go for the full fish boom thing, you can fight for water. If you don't, you can go a little bit further inland, and there is still plentiful food resources otherwise, just like any other normal nomad sort of map. And it's all, I think, fairly consistent in terms of what you can do. Again, I think there's just so much variety here in terms of the civilizations and strategies you can go for. If you land a water civ, you can fight for the water. If you roll a civ with a, you know, better, slower land army or something like Teutons or, I don't know, Celts or whatever, you can go further inland. And you just have that coordination available to you, I think, from very early on in the game. And even though the civilizations are random, the map is a lot more consistent, so there is, I think, going to be a little bit more standard-looking gameplay on this one. Still, though, the map is fairly open. You know, it's pretty average, I would say. You can go for some earlier aggression. You can go for some more defensive play. I think it depends a little bit where you can place your town center and all that stuff. I think we will be seeing a majority of the fast castle approach, though, or fighting for water in the feudal age. But I think this is going to be a little bit more of a late-game centric map. Oh yeah, how could I forget? You also start with the horse on this one. So the horse will run around for you and help you scout, but obviously it can't attack anything. So you just have, again, that little bit of extra added consistency to the map. Okay, Decentring, another classic one. So this one might appear similar to Compass at first, but right off the bat, you'll notice that you do start with a transport ship, but you do not start with any fishing ships. Also, your island has, 6 sheep on it, 4 deer, 3 gold, 2 stone, and a decent amount of wood to get you going. This means you have the option right away to drop your TC on your starting island. You know, like this or something. Of course, it's still a tiny island, and you're going to have to go over to the mainland over here, which is obviously just one mainland, just connecting in a big ring around the edge of the map. Or you can have some players go for the middle TC right away, and some players go for the land over here. Obviously, the corners are going to be furthest away from the water if you need to expand that way. But there are tons and tons and tons of fish here in the center lake area, and that's going to be lots of fish worth fighting for. Also, getting all of these early resources, potentially sniping enemy like town centers that are over here, can happen from, pretty early on in the game. I think there's just so many different ways you can play this map. Yes, it is going to favor the more water-heavy civilizations, perhaps even more than most of the other maps, but still, I think it's a really fun one. You still need to fight for resources on land. It's still where pretty much all of the resources are. As you can see here, just a pretty regular distribution of trees and sheep and stuff. But yeah, this is a classic map. It's always been pretty popular for any sort of nomad tournament thing. But still, again, it's a lot more consistent than your standard nomad in terms of you know what's going to be going on. You know that you're in the starting island, and it's going to have enough resources to get you going, and you know that, more or less, there's all the rest of the resources on the edge of the map. So again, you can really coordinate strategies before the game starts, regardless of what civilization you happen to roll. Traditionally on this map, we tended to see 2 players go for the middle, TC dropping right away, and then going for water control, and 2 players going for a more fast castle, boomy sort of approach on the shoreline. Then they could help out their teammates on water later on if they needed to do that, or they could go for the other approach and just push heavily on land and keep their opponents away from all of those valuable resources. So that tended to be the meta back then, but it's been a long time since I've seen this map in a competitive setting, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Hoodoo! This is another Crazini map, by the way. So, right off the bat, if you look at the minimap, it'll kind of remind you of Scandinavia. And you do have the water area, which is all these little inlets and, I don't know, flat fjords. Let's go with that. But there's tons and tons of fish available. You can gather them with your shore fishermen if need be, but obviously it is worth fighting over in terms of water. But there are consistently going to be 2 lanes, I guess, at the each edge of the map, where you can fight for water. But beyond that, the center of the map is very open. It's all savanna themed. You have your acacia forests and all of that good stuff. Also, your villagers are fairly close together as they start, so you can really pick your starting location a little bit more comfortably. On this map, we will see a lot of aggression, I think. This is definitely going to be one of the most aggressive maps. Although it's not a pure land map, we're going to need to see aggression on water because you don't want to give your opponent free access to all these fish. But you're also going to be seeing a lot of aggression on land. There are also some box turtles in these ponds, by the way, but still lots and lots of other resources. But it's going to be really hard to wall with all the acacia forests spread hither and yon. I think it's going to end up playing like a much more aggressive nomad-style Scandinavia, and I think it's pretty cool. This is, I think, going to be a really fun map. Definitely going to be favoring the more aggressive civs. Like, this is definitely a time for, your Aztecs to shine. Huns can probably do some fun stuff. Japanese, of course, going to be great on water. All that sort of thing. You guys get the idea. There are a few hills, but overall it is a fairly flat map overall. And I think that if you manage to be towards like the edges of the map, you'll be a bit more consistent in terms of how you can like drop your town center and have a little bit of a safer boom, although you obviously still have to be pretty careful. Land Nomad. We made this seed before DE added it. So Land Nomad is a classic. Of course, first thing you need to point out is that our version does involve starting with enough resources to build a town center. Most of the classic Land Nomad generations don't have that. Yeah, but that makes the game way too slow. So definitely give you that, because this is already a very late game oriented map. It's also, like Bedouins, the only other full land map, no real water options on this at all. In fact, there are none. But yeah, other than that, you got some hills, you got some cliffs, you have a lot of heavy forests. You can definitely wall fairly reasonably. I mean, it's not like we're talking Black Forest level walling, but it's, one step down from that. So, you're going to have to find an area, find some space to build up. Don't build your TC like that. Oh man, that's in the middle of nowhere. And you're going to need to look for a lot of earlier resources when it comes to like having some boar, having some forage bushes, sheep, whatever. Because you don't have any sort of guarantee for water control or anything like that. So it's going to all be about the big land nomad late game slugfest. So this is definitely where your late game civs are going to shine a lot, I feel. Your Mongols, your, I don't know, Turks, Teutons, Spanish, you guys get the idea. Definitely the sorts of civs that you're going to be very happy to roll on this map. Although there is still the potential for aggression. I mean, this whole area is pretty open looking. This whole area is pretty open looking, etc., etc. So it's all about finding ways you can get some damage done while still sort of working towards the inevitable late game. And of course, you can have the full map trade going on in a super long game, although this is pretty crappy for that, but you know, you get the idea. And finally, we have the one map that is guaranteed in every series, as it will always be game number 1. We will have regular Nomad. Yes, I did a video on this already, but I want this video to be encompassing all the possibilities for OBNC, just so it's a, you know, your one-stop shop for all of the map info, but I guess I'll still link the other video in the comments. That said, it's a pretty normal Nomad script. It is the Nomad map, the first one. It is a hybrid map. This one's actually pretty cool looking. It's got like this whole weird elongated river thing with some shallow crossings, but it's not quite connected to the ocean. That is, of course, around the edge of the map. And this is definitely the most chaotic of all of the maps. It's just the map is just so asymmetrical that you really have to just figure out on the fly, what on earth are you guys going to be doing? Have some players, you know, fight for some water, some players that just go for a boom on land, especially if somebody is super far away from everyone else. There's just so many possibilities here. I did do my tier list video for Big Nomad, so I talk about the various civ and strategy options a lot more there. I guess I will link that one as well. But yeah, this is the classic Nomad map. I'm sure the one that most people are going to be the most excited to see and play, because it is what this tournament is all about, and that's why we always have it as game number 1, so we see it consistently in every series. And yeah, who doesn't love themselves some good old Big Nomad? So that's it for the map pool, guys. It is a fairly small map pool. It is only 7 maps. So for best of 7, which will be the semifinals and finals, all the maps could potentially see play. The reason I did this is because if you have a map in a map pool, I want that map to be played. I don't want there to be, you know, just maps that never get to see the light of day. And making the map pool fairly small, one, it makes it a bit easier to plan strategies, especially when it comes to something as chaotic as Nomad 4v4. And yeah, I want to make sure that there is the chance for all of these different maps to see play, because I think they're all pretty cool. But anyway, that is going to be your map guide for OBNC. The tournament starts 4 hours after this video goes live, so definitely get excited for that. It will be going from July 28th through August 30th, so pretty much through the whole month of August. It's going to be happening Tuesdays and Thursdays at, 16 GMT, so definitely come check that out. Come watch your favorite players and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you're excited for the tournament, and I will see you in the next one.